Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is the 4th of January, 2025. It's about 5 minutes after 1 in the afternoon, and it's Sunday. Lots of snow out here in Minsk. Minsk, Belarus, I have to say that. Well, if you're all watching the news, everything is being overshadowed by what happened in Venezuela with the United States attack and their, what do you call it, a capture or kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro, the leader of Venezuela. And well, there's a lot of excitement there. Luckily, it wasn't a lot of bloodshed so far. It's been told that I think 40 people or so were killed in Venezuela, and you can bet that a lot of them are probably the people that were maybe the outer guard of Hugo Chavez, wherever he was, Nicolas Maduro, wherever he was overnighting. I guess they broke in, as you all know, and they got him in his pajamas, and he was trying to get into some safe place, I guess, that was lined with steel. I don't know what good that would have done him, even if he had enough food for a while and a toilet in there. I don't know. I don't know what the point is. Maybe he was thinking that he gets in there, and then in the meantime, he would be rescued by a lot of his own people. And that's not a bad analogy, I guess, if you want to think about it. But of course, the U.S. forces could have backed away, and they could have blown the place up with some sort of a missile. And I don't know, no plan is perfect, I guess. But so this kidnapping of Maduro, I guess a lot of people, everybody is split on that. You have Milei of Argentina, who is very happy about it. And odd things are, that Milei is extremely pro-Israel, and I think he misled his people when he originally got elected there. And I guess the next day practically he converted to Judaism and was in Israel and all that. He was a complete Israel puppet. And he's run the country, Argentina, into the ground in spite of getting massive, massive sums of money from Donald Trump, from the United States or from wherever. Apparently it's very bad in Argentina. It's all running on money from abroad. I guess he doesn't have the faintest idea on what he's doing in reality. It seems that way. I don't know. I don't live there, so I can't swear to anything. It's just like Venezuela. You hear a lot of conflicting stories. Oh, the people are all suffering, and nobody has any food to eat, and you hear a lot of things. And even if they were, well, why are they suffering? Oh, probably United States sanctions, if that is the case. None of us really know what the real truth is of any place unless you actually live there, unless you have some sort of contacts. And then it might be for rich people, things might be fabulous. And then for the regular people, it might be terrible. Your guess is as good as mine. It's kind of like Donald Trump saying how rich the United States is becoming. But I guess you're rich if you are some of the people that are getting a lot of this money that is supposedly flowing in from wherever. And I guess that's a very small amount of people. I don't know. So everything is based on perspectives. And the fallout of this adventure of Donald Trump's, that's going to be the telling thing. What is going to happen next? So they got Maduro, and what are they going to do with Maduro? And you hear a lot of different things. And there is something I saw from Max Blumenthal of the Gray Zone, which is very, very, very good information. He's very much schooled on all of this stuff in South America. Even though he's Jewish and he's in New York, he knows maybe more about South America than he does even about what's going on in Israel. And he knows a lot about Israel and about a lot of things that are going on there. And of course, he's on our side. He's not one of those people that put out fake information, So he's one of the first ones and he might have been the one I got the information on originally years ago about this October 7th when it turned out that Maduro, or what am I doing? I'm getting like a Biden brain. That Netanyahu is the one. He ordered all those Israelis, basically, if they would have any, suspicion that they could become hostages of Hamas, the IDF was ordered to kill the Israelis as well. So most of these people that died on that October 7th, 2023, were killed by IDF, were killed by the Israeli forces. And that has been said in courts. In court, the soldiers a lot of them have testified. And any people that are putting out the truth and telling what really happened on that day, or what happened when they were held hostage or something by Hamas, because most of them were treated very well. They're supposed to be paying a big fine. So there's like some sort of a penalty if you tell the truth in Israel about that, which is terrible. Israel, normally they have a lot of what would you say, justice. So their courts and things a lot of time are very right, I guess, compared to courts in the Western world, the rest of the Western world, such as even in Germany. I've heard of things happening in Germany that were complete shams, like the United States. So the court system, for the most part, works well. But if you are anybody that's accused of killing a Palestinian gets off. I mean, it's like there is I guess, what do you say, a dual tiers on their justice system there. So it's not perfect. Anyway, I'm talking about Venezuela, but I'm talking about Israel. I'm kind of pissed off about Israel, maybe like the rest of you are. And it's very strange because there's ties, I guess, to Israel and what's going on in Venezuela. I'll get through that first. And apparently this puppet, this one that supposedly got the Nobel Peace Prize, that was the opposition to Maduro, she's got a very, very, very strong love of Israel. So she wanted to get very strong ties to Israel. And of course, the people of Venezuela would not accept that very much because they know what's going on. All the Palestinians getting killed. And they feel a common bond with the Palestinians in Venezuela. It was like true with Hugo Chavez as well as it is with Maduro. And I mean, it's a lot of leaders in the world. They don't really like to see that Israel could just massacre innocent people at will. I don't know. Strange that there's like two sides to this. I think the vast majority, you'd probably say 90% of the people on earth are against Israel doing all of this. And that's one reason why they are now taking over the media. Very, very terrible. They're trying to take over the hearts and minds of everybody on earth, and that's a fact. Israel admits it. Benjamin Netanyahu admits it. Anyway, that's a different topic. So, well, what is some of the fallout from a lot of this, what happened in Venezuela? And I would say that two of the main things, and this is a sneaker, this is a thing that's going to sneak up on the United States. And you guys all out there can tell that this is actually a very strong issue. That you see how easy it was for the United States. It was no Americans were killed. I think maybe one person got slightly injured, if we're to believe all the official records. And I'm not here to say that there's anything wrong about that. And they say 40 or so Venezuelans were killed. And like I just mentioned, one of them was 80 years old. So obviously he wasn't guarding Maduro. When I lived in the Caribbean, I had seen Chavez a few times, so that's one reason probably why I keep saying Chavez. And I never got used to Maduro being the guy that took over. But, like I said, I lived in the Caribbean, and I've talked about that in other videos. I got too many things to say today, so I'm not going to get into this. So that was the ease of the operation, and of course that's emboldened the United States probably to go even further. And we all know that Donald Trump has his designs on Greenland and possibly on Panama. Oh no, I got a friend here. And other places as well. And he's looking at Colombia, apparently. He thinks that the leader of Colombia is running cocaine factories or something, and and I'll tell you what, Maduro has said this as well, that and Petro of Colombia is not in favor of these people that are doing this cocaine, but they don't have the ability to be attacking these people that are producing cocaine and trafficking it out of there. And these are powerful people. They got a lot of guns, and they have a lot of money, and so they won the hearts and the minds of the people in the villages all around there. They are actually on the side of the drug lords because that's where all their social benefits come from. We're way out in the wild. At least that's what I've been hearing. And but a lot of the cocaine, and there has been some cocaine that has come out of Venezuela, but that is coming from Colombia across the border into Venezuela, and I think a lot of that has stopped. I think Maduro has been able to stop all of that. And Donald Trump, of course, these are all fake charges about this, whatever he's saying. I know he's saying fentanyl. Maduro has killed a lot of people. And this is all fake. You guys all know, I mean, most people on Earth know that this is for oil, mostly for oil, but it's a lot of other resources. Venezuela is one of the most resource-rich countries on the planet. And it's the United States wants those resources. They want that money. And believe it or not, there's a lot of resources in Greenland too. And it's Donald Trump says he needs, the U.S. needs Greenland for strategic purposes. And it's like, well, what? China is a long way from Greenland. Russia is even a long way from Greenland. And the United States has a military base there already, and they can get more if they really wanted to. They could just make deals. And Denmark, who owns Greenland, they would make the deals with them. So this is not about that. I don't know completely what it's about. Obviously, some of this is about minerals. The United States wants them. So obviously, the United States is on a march for imperialism like you've never seen it before. And it's not just in the Americas or in that hemisphere. Now, if you guys know, Donald Trump talks a lot about the Monroe Doctrine. I've addressed that before, and it seems like a lot of people aren't addressing that as much as they really should. And the original Monroe Doctrine was what was it, 1830 by James Monroe, and it referred to that the United States basically has the entire hemisphere, the entire Western Hemisphere, probably from way down to the tip of South America all the way up, and including probably Greenland. And in exchange for that, what is supposed to happen? Europe is supposed to stay out of that hemisphere. And in exchange for that, the United States would not get messed up in Europe, not that hemisphere, not Africa, not Russia, not Asia. It had nothing to do with that. It had only the continent of Europe. And of course, it was mainly concerned with Great Britain. So it's like, you take that little area over there and we get the entirety of all of the Western Hemisphere. And Donald Trump is not even honoring that, of course, as he's still sticking his fingers into Europe. So it's only going to, it's like so many people are saying these past few days, the past day, I guess. It seems like a few days. It's only been one day. There's so much news coming out. But Donald Trump and a lot of people are just saying they write the rules as they go along. And the rules are not for the United States, by the way. The rules are for everybody else. And the United States does not follow any rules. They do what they want to do. Any of this these violations of international law, the United States doesn't care. Donald Trump, do you think he's going to look at any kind of a rule book? He doesn't care. He's going to do whatever he wants to do and what he thinks he can take. And he's warning the rest of the world. You see Lindsey Graham as his Lindsey Graham is his little chief bulldog going around. And Lindsey Graham is threatening everybody right now. He's even threatening China. He's threatening Russia, basically saying, now look at how tough we are. We're coming after you and all you bad actors and bad people, which he meant Russia and China as well. And of course, that is the big prize after all of that. And he's saying that, the main reason for Venezuela is to get China out of there and, saying, look at what we can do. Look how powerful we are. And as we all see, China can be a very, very powerful country if they really wanted to. I mean, powerful militarily, but they don't choose to be that way. The United States chooses to be that way. If you look at resources and the availability and how things work, China could, if they really wanted to go on a path of militarism, they could do it, and they could do it very quickly. As a matter of fact, they are gearing up right now. They're making, how many aircraft carriers are they making right now? Oh, I have to take care of a cat. Hang on. So actually the point I'm trying to get at is the ease of this operation for the United States, and that they didn't lose anybody, is going to embolden them, and they're going to be going after more. And they've already signaled that they're going to be doing that. They think they're invincible. Like Lindsey Graham, obviously, he's the one you want to look at. he is maybe the mind of what a lot of these people that are in the government. And he, of course, influences Donald Trump. So, oh, we're invincible. Look at what we can do. So everybody else look out, and they're going to be trying even more. And who knows, they might even try this on Iran. It's not the same sort of operation, but they think they can do anything. I don't know what Iran, they say they're stronger than they were during this 12-day war with Israel. I don't know. And I don't know what's going on in Yemen. I don't even know where they got their hypersonics. And of course, Israel is shooting for Yemen. And I'm going to be talking about that in a little bit. It's this Somali daycare scam, the stuff that's going on in the U.S., that has everything to do with Israel. And I'll get into that. That's absolutely incredible stuff. This is all being uncovered by a lot of people. I said I'd get to that soon. So there's another part from the fallout. The most glaring takeaway from this message, it sends to any country that does not have nukes, that the U.S. can create any pretext to invade your country. Oh, you're selling drugs. You're being roughed, bad to the women. Like I think that was one of the ones for Afghanistan. You're gassing your own people. The one from Venezuela, I guess they couldn't come up with that much. So they said that Maduro is sending drugs and that he stole American oil, and he stole things from America. He stole America's oil that happens to be ended up just somehow by God. God put them under the soil of Venezuela. So, but Maduro should have known that is American. That's U.S. oil, not Venezuelan oil. So he needs to just shut up and give his oil to us. My God. Yeah. So, but Greenland, as you all know, Donald Trump says it's strategic. Why doesn't he just come right out and say that he wants to get in there to take the minerals and things? And it's not that they have huge amounts. It's not like Venezuela, but they have a lot there, and I guess it's easy to get to. It's not very much population, so it's a lot easier, you would think, but it's not, because it doesn't belong to the United States. Wow. And it's like the case with Belarus. Of course, they wanted to take Belarus, but not that they wanted to exploit it. They wanted to take Belarus as a strategic point, as stepping off. This was before Trump. Trump, for the moment, as I've said and other people have said, they have Russia. They're still going to go after Russia, the United States. There's no doubt about that. But it's on the back burner right now. So Trump is actually now trying to weaken Russia from without. So apparently they're going to try to take down a lot of Russia's allies, such as Venezuela, and who knows else. They were trying to go after India. And India is a little bit more powerful, and India didn't really take the bait. So I think they're going to go after India again at some point in time. Yeah, United States. But, there's so many theories you can come up with about what's going on right now. You can even say this is a reenactment of a Project for a New American Century. If you guys remember that was normally drawn out from Paul Wolfowitz, the great neocon, and Daniel Pearl from the old days, and it was, they did act that out. There's no doubt about that. And I've even met people that signed on to that document. Richard Armitage, he was a former Navy SEAL, and then he was the Assistant Secretary of State under George Bush. Yeah, and I had met him. Yeah, he's a voice like this. He was a former Navy SEAL, and he signed on to that document as well. You can look that up, Richard Armitage. I tell you what, I think they got rid of the site. It was an official American think tank, Project for a New American Century. And there was a portion of that called Rebuilding America's Defenses. And in that, they said that America needs to get into the Middle East and take over all these oil-rich countries, but they need a pretext to get into the Middle East. So Paul Wolfowitz, and it's written in the documentation. Like I said, though, it's taken down, but I'm sure you can find it in other places. And it said, like, they need an attack on America on the scale of Pearl Harbor. And soon after that, we had 9/11. Isn't that incredible? What happened on the day before 9/11? Donald Rumsfeld, what did he announced a huge loss of billions of dollars. It was on September 10th, 2001, that the United States just lost a whole bunch of money that was going to the Pentagon. We don't know what happened to it. It just disappeared. It's like, well, you have no accountants? What the heck? How do you lose? And this was in the billions. I think it was $5 billion. That's incredible. That's the anniversary, by the way, of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, is when they announced this big loss of money. Very strange about these anniversaries. It's just like this anniversary of the capture or the kidnapping of Maduro is on the same day that Noriega surrendered, that the United States captured or got Noriega to surrender in 1990. Wow, interesting. It's weird how they do this stuff. And even on September 11th, I think it was in 1991, that's when George Bush the first, he proclaimed a new world order. And then it was like a couple decades later, well, what was it? 1 decade later is when 9/11 happened. So it's weird that they do these things on these dates. Or even like this attack on Nigeria, bombing Nigeria. Donald Trump bombed him on Christmas, and it was supposed to be about saving the Christians, which it didn't have anything to do with that either. I mean, it's all a bunch of crazy stuff. You never really know the truth. And by the way, it's been revealed now by Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is not part of this news with Venezuela. I'm sorry to interject all this stuff here, but it just happens. It got to my mind. I didn't write it in my notes. But Marjorie Taylor Greene, she had actually come out and revealed that this Doge by Elon Musk, they actually ended up spending more money than they were saving the government for the most part. But then they had a savings at one point of, what was it? I think 20 or 30 billion. But I think that offsets itself with a lot of these costs. And it's the whole thing of Doge was to take contracts away from companies that did not support Donald Trump in his re-election. And they rewarded this money to the companies that did support Donald Trump. So all it was is a changeover. So they took it from companies that did not financially support Donald Trump, and they gave it. And I guess she was the one in charge of overseeing all of this, and she started noticing this, and that's a major reason why she got out. And then she was also seeing how a lot of the money that is getting transferred to the very rich people, it's going through cryptocurrencies. So it's a big steal that's going on right now still. And Donald Trump is involved with it, unfortunately, and Elon Musk. You would have to look online and try to find talks from Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she better watch her back. This was just put out just before the attack on Venezuela, I guess. I think some of this stuff might have come out in December, but wow. Okay, keep going here. So, I guess the message is now, a lot of these countries that have the capability, you might want to get nukes, unfortunately, and I guess that's also, a lot of people are telling Iran it'd be best if you get nukes or they're never going to leave you alone, and that seems to be the case. Look at North Korea. They leave North Korea alone now. Wow. But they didn't before. Rocket Man, So anyway, the U.S. is going to come up with any pretext to invade a country, and it's always normally for strategic reasons or for resources, things like that. I don't know if they do anything for punishment, just to punish somebody. That's what we thought about Iraq, but that was, like I just said, it was a project for a new American century, for the United States to get into an oil-rich country, and then from that, expand and control all of the other oil-rich countries. And the easiest place to do all of that was in the Middle East. However, Donald Trump is looking at something different. He's looking at, well, we got all these resources in Venezuela, the biggest oil supply on the planet, and it's close to home, so we'll just go in there and take it. It's a lot easier than trying to do it with all these crazy Arabic peoples over there that are willing to fight. Maybe they think the Venezuelans aren't. I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody does. Everybody's speculating right now. So what's going to happen next? Because the United States does not have Venezuela yet, even if they say they do. They say they've got Venezuela, and they said they're going to control everything, and they just may as well. They might do that. They might do that, but they haven't got to that point yet. So, and that's why a lot of these business leaders, and so far, I guess it was put out by this Brian Schwartz from CNBC or CCBS, one of these, corporate media things. And they said there's already 20 companies that have said they want to go to Venezuela in March. They said March. It's very strange. Why not right away? For an exploratory probe to see what is there and what they can use and things. 20 different companies. It's in March. March is. It's not like there's snow on the ground in Venezuela. I mean, you could go anytime. You would think. Maybe wait a couple of weeks. March. What do we have here? Beginning of January, February, March. That's 2 months from now. And, the early bird catches the worm and all that kind of stuff. So they would actually be best to go in there now. Of course, it's going to be 50 companies that are going to want to go in there by the March, if there's not already 50. So how do they announce this in one day? 20 business leaders. It's going to be more than that. It's going to be a lot more than that to go in there and rape the country of Venezuela. Donald Trump, it's going to benefit the Venezuelan people. Maybe it will a little bit, but who's going to get the maximum amount of money? And it's not going to go to the American people. American people are not going to get it. It'll be a little bit of a trickle down, very little. It's going to be these corporations. They're going to get much richer. Exxon, of course, is going to stand to benefit greatly. Looks like they've been making a lot of the secret deals. And of course, there's others. And what about the gold and lithium and everything else that's going to be down there? Hey, not to mention tourism and agriculture. Guyana's right next door, and Guyana has hundreds of millions of dollars worth of timber there. They got Purple Heart and rosewood. A lot of those are very valuable trees. It's very valuable wood. So, and I know a little bit about wood. I was growing timber as well. I still own land, and I have teak. Anybody really want to buy some land? I got a lot of teak trees on there. I got mahogany and teak, and I've got blue maho, and I've got a lot of avocado trees. I got coffee trees. I got macadamia nut trees. Coffee, I said. I got some soursop. I mean, if you don't know what that is, barojo, which is from Ecuador and Colombia. A lot of you guys don't know what that stuff is, but valuable trees. I made sure that I was planting a lot of valuable trees, agriculture, on my land. And it's in the Caribbean, on a Caribbean island, 10 minutes away from the capital city. It's got a view of Kingstown Harbor. If you want some good property, get a hold of me. I'll sell it to you. Very reasonably priced. But the people there, they don't have the money. I mean, there's some people, of course, interested. But anyway, that's just my real estate pitch. Okay. Okay. So, talked about strategic location, yeah. So, but any of these countries that don't have the power there, I mean, you can just write off your sovereignty and your independence. You have to play along with the United States, like as if you have sovereignty and independence, like even these small countries. I lived in a very tiny country. Anyway, the land that I have, it's got streams on it as well, so it's got a water source. It's in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and, they have no military. And, of course, they still play, at least the old government. It's a new government now, but they played as if they had sovereignty and independence, and, But when push came to shove, when the United States wanted something, the United States got it. As a matter of fact, if you look on a map and they told you where the military bases are, that the United States has military bases, kind of around Venezuela and all that, strange. They don't mention the fact that St. Vincent and the Grenadines has a United States military base, a very small one. As a matter of fact, that's where they launched drones from to spy on the Venezuelans to see what was going on with their military. It was from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's a Coast Guard base, but Coast Guard is part of the military, the United States military. Yeah. So, and of course, I've met some CIA people and all that. I've told, maybe I haven't mentioned so much about it. I've only met a couple that I knew were CIA. Some other ones, I don't know. I can't say. But they infiltrate into the churches more than they do. And there's Greenpeace. Not Greenpeace. I get it mixed up. I said this already. Peace Corps. Peace Corps is there, but I'd never met any spies in Peace Corps, and that was a traditional one. I think John Perkins, who wrote Confessions of an Economic Hitman. I think he lives in Florida right now, but he was in, I keep wanting to say Greenpeace. He was in the Peace Corps, and he was a CIA agent, and he was in Chile and all that. And he talks about that if you want to find that book, Confessions from an Economic Hitman. So, but I didn't meet anybody in Peace Corps that was. The churches, Catholic Church and Seventh-day Adventists, they sent somebody there. And anyway, so if you play along with the United States and you bend the knee, I guess you'll get an illusion that you're free, that you have, independence and sovereignty. And we only see that to a large extent. China and Russia are sovereign countries, and India, of course, is very close, but I would not say Brazil or South America or South Africa, which are some of the founders of the BRICS country, the only three. I'm not even saying that India is 100%, but as we all know, Donald Trump had believed that India was no longer going to buy any petroleum products from Russia. Donald Trump sent out that warning to everybody on earth. He said anybody who buys anything from Russia is going to have massive sanctions leveled on them. And they're not able to do that. So maybe he's going to get around to that a little bit later. Probably he's trying to think of, how can I do this? How can I punish everybody until I can bring Russia to its knees? Donald Trump, he plays like he wants to be friends with Russia and he's working with Russia. But I mean, most people know. I was trying to think, maybe he does want to, because it makes perfect sense to be aligned with people and work with people instead of like bombing them and militarily attacking them and things like that. But that's not the case. That's not the case. Donald Trump has proved that over and over again. The United States as a whole, it doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden, terrible. Anyway, you guys know that. I don't know, maybe you could say Israel is a sovereign nation. And then normally Israel tells the United States what to do. It's a known fact, as you all know. Israel has tremendous control over the United States, over many aspects: finance, Hollywood, social media. Now they virtually own most of the world's social media. Is Israel, at least all of them. Like, what is it? TikTok. I don't think they have. They don't have Telegram, and they don't have X yet. That's coming. I think that's what Benjamin Netanyahu said. He's got a big goal to get X. And he said that. He said, you can find his interviews, and he said, yeah, well, we have to work with Elon Musk. He's already a good friend of ours and all that, basically to run things in accordance to how Israel wants. So no bad news about Israel. No, don't record of all of the mass slaughter of innocent people that Israel does, and maybe none of their spy things where they assassinate people, all these assassinations. No, you have to say Israel's a very good people. It's incredible. Yeah. So, next bombing. What's Trump's next bombing or joint operation? I think it's going to be the bombing. I don't know how he's going to take over Greenland. He seems to be set on that. But apparently there's going to be a joint operation. It's probably going to be a joint operation between Israel and the United States to, again, go after Iran. And Donald Trump knows that a lot of the things that the military assets of Iran have been moved to different places, and obviously they watch through satellites, so they know where a lot of these things are as part of Iran, and I hope they have a good BAT-D, battlefield deception. We called it BAT-D, at least in the military. And if you guys don't know what battlefield deception is, it was founded by Rommel. I'll give you an example, and then you guys know exactly what I'm getting at. And of course, the United States uses this too. I've seen that in the units I've worked at as well. But what Rommel did, and Adolf from Germany, the Führer, he wouldn't send a lot of assets. He was very jealous of Erwin Rommel, known as the Desert Fox, and he sent him, of course, to North Africa. And allies were the Italians, which were a complete loss, I guess. And they were against the British, and the Panzer Division. I was actually stationed, I might have mentioned that, at oh God, Schwetzingen barracks in outside of Heidelberg, and that's where the Africa Corps had their tanks and things. That's where they were, at least before they were relocated to Africa. That's where Rommel's people were. So I was in the same buildings and things that Rommel, and they had the tanks there and all that. I don't know. That's just an interesting thing. But the Schwetzingen, I might get the. Not too bad. A lot of the German fleet. I haven't talked about it since the 80s. So I think it's Schwetzingen. I don't want to get. I was thinking I was getting it mixed up with Schweinfurt because I was stationed at another place and it was near Schweinfurt. So Schwetzingen is the right place. Famous for asparagus, white asparagus, in Germany. But anyway, what Rommel did, since Hitler wouldn't send. Did I say I'm not supposed to say that because of the algorithms? But anyway, Adolf wouldn't send him the assets that he needed, like more tanks and things. So what he would do is he had trucks, for support people, that trucking things around and all that. So he would have plywood, and he would make it look like they were tanks on a front or the two front lines, so that the enemy from a distance, the British, would look through their binoculars, and they would only see the front 2 or 3 lines of the tanks of Erwin Rommel. And in the meanwhile, in the background, they had other trucks doing circles and donuts all over to make huge clouds of dust. And so when the British were looking through their binoculars, it looked like Rommel had thousands of tanks, and they would surrender. They would surrender to Rommel, even though the British had a lot more. And of course, it's a very embarrassing thing for the British. But it was actually, I think that's even written in... I think it's B.H. Liddell Hart, History of World War II. And actually, I think he was knighted by the Queen, I think, because of his great work. And he did not have a lot of bias against Germany. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. And but that's battlefield deception. And we had in America, what they do is they have inflatable tanks, like they had them in my unit. They would blow up tanks, out of pump, and they're just inflatable, and they look like tanks from the air or whatever. And they're not; they're just blow up. And so that's going to be very important, maybe to Iran. Maybe they can have fake. Obviously they do. They have sometimes fake missile launchers and things. So the United States thinks they're missile launchers, but the United States is watching them from satellite, before and after pictures and all that. And if something comes up very fast and they can guess that it's fake and it's just something that happened in one day, then it's not a real missile launcher. So you have to actually go through the emotions of faking it in many different ways. So anyway, that might be Donald Trump's next mission. But it's not done yet with Venezuela. He said he's ready for another attack, and they haven't got Venezuela yet. So we'll have to see what is going to happen in the next while. And of course, that's why they have a date of March, is because it might take another 4 weeks or so, they think. And you can bet there's going to be probably boots on the ground, and some Americans are probably going to get killed. A lot of people are predicting that Venezuela is still in resistance. And it's very much like what is going on. Donald Trump and Marco Rubio, who might be the governor of Venezuela, his aim is actually Cuba, apparently. He wants Cuba, Marco Rubio. But Venezuela is a stepping stone. It's just like Belarus is a stepping stone geographically to Russia. And of course, so is Ukraine, is a stepping stone into Russia. But they see as ideologically, Venezuela is a stepping stone to Cuba. Marco Rubio wants Cuba. So what's going to happen, you never know. So, but anyway, the vice president, the one who took over, and I guess now the Supreme Court of Venezuela, I guess, has verified that. I think it was today, very early today, said that the vice president, her name is Delcy Rodriguez. She is now officially the interim president of Venezuela, and she vows that Venezuela will not be a colony of the United States. So it's all fake what Marco Rubio and Donald Trump are saying, that, oh, she's cooperating, and yes, she like acknowledged that the United States is the masters and things. So, but I don't know if that's going to mean there's going to be a fight. Who can say? I don't know. Yes. What did she say in her speeches? She said, all power against savage Trump. She called Trump a savage. She said, like I said, that Venezuela will never be a colony of the United States, very much like what Maduro said. And I think she actually says Maduro is still the president, but she's only interim. And they're probably obviously not going to let Maduro go. Donald Trump has pretty much said that. And he said he's going to make sure that nobody else like Maduro is going to be there. So they're going to rule Venezuela with an iron fist, is basically what Donald Trump is saying. She also admitted, this vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, she also said that Israel is complicit in this takeover. So what has happened, this conquest, Israel is involved. And so far, what I've only heard from the United States, the involvement, which is not much involvement, is because this Mikado, this one that got the Peace Prize supposedly, and that the United States wanted to be the leader of Venezuela, which is not going to happen. Donald Trump even said that. She is very pro-Israel. She's pro-LGBT. She's even anti-Venezuela, so, and the people know that. So, and Donald Trump even said that there's no way, because the people don't like her, because she doesn't even like Venezuela. She was all in favor of Venezuela getting bombed by Donald Trump. And there's a lot of things going on. I mean, and you, like I said, you have to be there to really know for sure. I'm not going to stake my allowance on it. So, and one of the best, what do you call it, opinion of what actually this is all about came from the former president of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev. He said, it was about this. He said three things. He said, this is another brilliant step toward a Nobel Peace Prize, for Trump, bombing all these countries, another brilliant step. But I tell you what, the Nobel Peace Prize is worthless. As you all know, first they gave it to Obama, who was never in any position whatsoever to do anything for or against peace, and they gave him a peace prize, and that's like, what? And that's the same thing with this Mikado, and it's a joke anyway. I believe Adolf Hitler might have got the peace prize at one time. It's completely useless. It's only maybe the money, or it's just built up. It's just like a media thing. It's a build up to just nothing. It doesn't mean, it's like anti-Semite of the year is more important to most people than getting a Nobel Peace Prize. So anyway, and he said another thing to notice, observation of this, is the complete silence of all of these people in the European Union. And right after that, of course, Kaja Kallas had to say something, and it was some innocuous thing. It had nothing to do with anything. And I think then Ursula von der Leyen, she came out with some sort of thing that didn't even mean anything. And these people don't know what they're doing anyway. A lot of people are saying, if you look at the European Union, who symbolizes the European Union? Kaja Kallas and Ursula von der Leyen. I mean, these two that don't know anything about, and I'm not going to say something like dumb women. I'd sound like Nick Fuentes. But these two are, and if you hear the stuff that comes out of, for example, Kaja Kallas, China is a big country and Russia is a big country, and gosh, and then what, Ursula von der Leyen with her computer chips out of the washing machines and refrigerators to be put into Russian bombs, and my. I don't know. I think maybe these people are just figureheads and they don't have any decision making. I don't know. It's frightening. It's totally frightening. And he said the third important thing is Caracas Op is the best proof that the only way to ensure a country's reliable defense is with a nuclear arsenal. So that is why Iran is having nothing but problems, endless problems. And a lot of people, George Galloway was one of them, said that the best thing for Iran is to get nuclear weapons. Even if you don't want to use them, And Iran, I can understand their logic, but Iran has to understand the logic of Israel and the United States. If you're weak, they're going to come for you. If you're weak and you have any resources, or you're in a strategic place, and that's the case for Iran as far as Israel, and it's actually because Iran stands up for people. It's just like Russia and Belarus. They are for people and their people's connection to the land. And if you're looking at the West, if you look at the United States and Europe, as well as Israel, by the way, except for their own, in a roundabout way, but the West is for resources and money, and Russia and even China, I believe, they stick up for people. Of course, Russia can afford to do that. They have all the resources that they need, and so does Venezuela, and actually so does the United States, but everything is not enough. They want more than everything. Israel is very similar. Israel now, it's not a secret, just days ago I've even announced it, they are in for a huge takeover now of natural gas and oil, and Chevron is right there to do it. Chevron is not a bad company, I would say, necessarily. All big companies are. They're answerable to their shareholders and making money. But in any case, Chevron is going really big into Israel, and Israel is going to get billions and billions. Netanyahu admitted that a few days ago. Going to be very rich on oil and gas, and maybe they're even going to have a stake in Venezuela. That's possible, very possible. That's if this Mikado actually does get put in there, which he probably won't. Anyway, Israel would definitely get a share of that. She would invite Israel to do it. Okay. Yeah. Marco Rubio issued an order, I think it was the day before. He said for all U.S. citizens to leave Russia immediately due to possibility of terrorism. I was told since I've been here twice to leave. I mean, Americans were said, get out of Belarus immediately. We were told immediately. And I'm in contact with other Americans here, and we all kind of laughed about it. It's kind of a joke, and like Belarus government. I mean, it's like, this is nothing but scare tactics. It's an evil dictatorship, and they're going to come after you and get you, and all this. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. I think that was in the Biden times. I don't know if this happened I don't think it was during the Trump years yet. But maybe Donald Trump is at least a little bit more wise as far as that's concerned. But then why did the Trump administration, through Marco Rubio, tell all U.S. citizens to leave Russia because of threat of terrorism? It's like, what? I don't even know where that came from. Very weird stuff, But at least they haven't done it to us in Belarus. And there's kind of and I think there actually is a little bit of a bond between the personalities of Donald Trump and Alexander Lukashenko of Belarus. It's a little bit, but it's still, if I were Alexander Lukashenko, I would not trust Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he owes his presidency to his shareholders, and of course the biggest shareholder was, of course, Israel, and Israel did everything to put him in, and that's why Donald Trump will do everything for Israel, everything and anything for Israel, through Miriam Adelson, of course, and AIPAC. And that's the case with most American politicians, unfortunately, is they're all beholden to AIPAC for their positions. So that's not a good thing. So you guys know all about that. It's a completely different subject, though. Anyway, this warning is a top level 4 warning. Like, this is really, really like imminent or something, which I don't know if there's is there a level 5? I don't know. They didn't go with colors like yellow and green or whatever and red or something. They said a top level 4. Yes, and Donald Trump is still threatening President Petro of Colombia. Makes you really wonder if he's going to be doing a similar thing in Colombia. And he said, of course, that Colombia, that the leader of Colombia is a big cocaine boss or something like that, and has to watch his ass. If that's true, how come he hasn't attacked already? I mean, geez, come on. It's fake, and we all know that it's fake. So Guess I already talked about this with Machado and Israel. So it's. I don't think that's enough. That's enough to show that Israel has such great interest in Venezuela. I think that there was other things, and I'm pretty sure that Max Blumenthal will know that from the Gray Zone. I'm not positive, but we'll see. If something's going to come out, what is Israel's interest? Is it just because Maduro supports the Palestinian people and the Gazans? I don't know. Okay, there's another big story going on in geopolitics right now. This is really incredible. This is this one I was going to tell you about with Somali and Somaliland and all that. This daycare stuff. Can you imagine that these Somali daycare things has something to do with Israel? It's like, what? How do you figure that? It's really incredible. Well, you know, there is this person, what is his name? Nick Shirley. Okay. And he's going around and apparently going to all of these Somali daycares and saying that there's no children in there, that there's no business there and things. And I think maybe there's a case that some of that is true. I'm not sure, but apparently somebody else went, and they went during a different time, and there was children getting out and going into the very same Somali daycares that Nick Shirley said there was no children. They just wouldn't let him in the door. I mean, some guy knocking on the door with no children, somebody they've never seen before. Are they going to let this guy in? Maybe they're trying to protect children. I'm not saying that none of these are fake, but I'm just saying that not all of them are. And of course, they have this scandal, and it's in Washington State, in Wisconsin, in Ohio, and other places. Supposedly, these are fake daycares, but it looks like there's a very good chance that they're not fake at all. This is incredible. I'm not going to take the credit for this, and most of this comes from Sabby Sabs, and I think it's, what is it called? Her video, if you look up Sabby Sabs, it's called Israel Behind the Minnesota Fraud Story. Very simple, very clear-cut title there. Okay. Let's see. So I think she's exposed that very good. It's very much like a Candace Owens sort of a deal. Strange, she's a black woman and exposing some fraud things. Interesting. I wonder if there's a conspiracy there somehow. Anyway, just kidding. Okay. So this YouTuber, Nick Shirley, I'm not saying that she's the one that did all the research on this, but I think she got this through other people, and she put it all together in this video. But this Nick Shirley guy, he is huge into Israel. He is a diehard Israel supporter. And he's not just some guy that came out of nowhere, that all of a sudden, oh, this YouTuber nobody had ever heard of. He's actually linked and to, pro-Israel. He's been in other videos, wearing a suit and all of this sort of thing, supporting this whole entire thing with Zionism. I mean, it's incredible. I guess you'd say he's a shill for Israel, and he's very anti-Muslim. He's been in, led protests anti-Muslims. I'm not anti-Muslim or anti-Jew or nothing. I mean, it's like a pretty weird to think that I'll tell you what. Let me make something clear. I am not for these governments importing huge amounts of people into their countries that have no respect for the culture of the country, such as Great Britain or Sweden or wherever it might be. They have no ties, and these people, they set up their own little communities, and they're allowed to do that, by the way. And they're even, a lot of them, breaking laws, and they're even allowed to. I remember, what was it back in 2000? Oh, it was a while ago. It was 2016. There was 1,200 reports of sexual assault in Cologne, Germany alone by migrants. And a lot of this stuff is not even allowed to be published in newspapers. You're not allowed to publish these migrant attacks on things. Gang rapes, all kinds of gang rapes and things. And it's still going on, I guess, in Germany to a large extent. And you have these Pakistani groomers, these men that doing these things in Great Britain. and it's absolutely sick. So I'm not saying I'm in favor about this, but I have nothing against the Muslim religion. There's a lot of Muslim. Look at, well, they get along perfectly well in Russia. There's not that many in Belarus. But now, there is now, a lot of people came from Pakistan. It was, I think, by invitation of Alexander Lukashenko. But he said he's keeping an eye on them, and that's exactly what it should be. But Muslims, for the most part, in Russia, and Christians, they are best of friends. It's incredible. But there are some, I guess, where was it? I don't know if it's Tajikistan or something like that. And there's a lot of them. They have a radical view, and a lot of them go to Russia. And those are the problem Muslims. I don't know if it's Tajikistan or Turkmenistan or some country like that, but there's some radical groups, and a lot of them have come into Russia, and it is a problem in Russia too, but not Muslims in general. So don't go after Muslims, and don't go after Jews or Christians. It has nothing to do with that. It's like a big psyop, and like Nick Fuentes doing or something. Who was it that just said that? Oh, it was Jackson Hinkle said that Nick Fuentes, and a lot of people are saying Nick Fuentes just is running a big psyop. It's incredible, and I think he is, to be honest with you. Even if I hate to say that, he's very incoherent. He says one thing, and he says something that completely is the opposite at some other time. Sounds like Donald Trump. Maybe he's Donald Trump's son. Maybe he's a son of Donald Trump that we don't know about. But anyway. But this guy, this Nick Shirley, and people are saying that this guy is like a clone of Nick Fuentes. This Nick Shirley is a clone of Nick Fuentes, because I guess he was on Value Entertainment, and he said he's never had sex, and he said similar things that Nick Fuentes said. Similar, very similar. What was the thing but anyway, he's like a cutout, and it looks like, and he's obviously for Israel. It's very, very shocking. You have to see that video by Savvy Sabs. I'll try to put a link in the bottom for that. It's unbelievable. I think Sabby, the only thing that she said that is possibly inaccurate, because like I said, a lot of people are saying that he's running some kind of a psyop, this Nick Fuentes. Sabby says, and you have to watch for it, I guess. That's the only thing that might not be true. She says that Fuentes is anti-Israel. And I've seen it with my own eyes. He's in videos. He's praising Israel in a lot of these things. So how can he be praising? And he was saying and he's not even anti-Jew. And he even says that he's not anti-Jew. He's very difficult to understand. And he says, I think Jews are problems, but he doesn't mean he's anti-Jew. He's a strange guy. You have to look for something into what he's saying. He's definitely anti-women. He hates women because he said that women should shut the F up. And I think some people say, I think it was Kim Iverson said he's gay, that Nick Fuentes is gay. And this other guy might be gay too. Maybe they're partners. Instead of changing their last name to be the same, maybe they change their front names as a psyop. I don't know. So, but the one thing that I've seen about Nick Fuentes is his mission is to make everyone confused. So he says these things and to make you confused, and it's like, what is he trying to do? I have not the faintest idea on what his big mission is. And I think Piers Morgan asked him, well, what is your goal here? What are you trying to achieve? I can't even remember what he said. Anyway. He says all blacks should be locked up, and then he says he has a lot of black friends. And that makes you wonder about, are they friends with him, or is he friends with them? I don't really know. But anyway. What about black women? They should be locked up and shut the F up. So, boy, that's probably why he hates Candace Owens and probably Savvy Sabs, but I don't know if he knows of Savvy Sabs yet. Yeah. So, yeah, he was on, Nick Shirley was on Value Entertainment. He says he's very pure. He doesn't drink. He's never had sex before. He doesn't smoke, of course, I guess. It is kind of like, sounds like Erica Kirk, who never had a boyfriend for years before Charlie Kirk, even though it's been proven. She's completely lied about that. I mean, gosh, these people are lying. Turning Point USA, lie after lie after lie. Candace Owens has been exposing these lies. Absolutely incredible. And the more they lie, the more they go after her, the more she catches them in lies. It's incredible. So, but I don't know. A lot of people are trying to copy Nick Fuentes in these near meltdowns. Apparently, a lot of people, a lot of people find it entertaining. Not that they love Nick Fuentes. Maybe some of them do. I don't know. This is a really strange world now. Yeah. There's also a theory, and some people, they have some evidence to back it up, that Erica Kirk is or was a Mossad agent. And it sounds ridiculous. Yeah, but but given how things work today, nothing is ridiculous anymore. I tell you what. Anyway, strange world. But anyway, that's all I have. Oh, look at this. I made it in 1 hour. I thought this was going to take like an hour and a half. There's actually more information, things about Venezuela and all that, but I was thinking all of you probably got all that information from a lot of these channels anyway. And yeah, it doesn't look good for Venezuela. And like Donald Trump is now going to go and take America's oil. I don't know. It's sad. It's really sad. Anyway. Okay, everybody. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.